Hey Blazers, this episode is brought to you by Audible.com and the Amazon Company. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Blaze Entertainment.
Or visit the sponsor and supporters links on our website at entertheblaze.com. With over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now let's start the show.
No gold is not in her. She's a diamond under her. Wanna lay it down, I'll try my heart. Don't I know gold is not in her.
What's going on, Blazers? We are back with another episode, Spotlight Edition of Blaze Entertainment. I'm your host, Kwame. And I'm not joined, unfortunately, by the beautiful and the melanin proficient Miss Free. She is out today. But I am joined fabulously by the awesome, the outstanding, the handsome Mr. Donta Morrison, activist and creator and host of The Donta Show. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you for that. Thank you. I was like, who? All right.
Who is this? What's going on? Who is this?
Right, looking over my shoulder.
Do you know who he's talking about?
Exactly. Pass it off to somebody else.
Right?
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure, and thanks for being on the show. And I know you're a busy man.
Definitely. I am that, but I've got time for stuff that matters.
Okay. Hey, I like that.
And you matter.
I do. I appreciate that. So for those who don't know, I don't know how you don't know who this man is, but for those who don't know, can you let people know who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm Donta Morrison. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I work heavily within the HIV field. So I do a lot of HIV education, prevention, awareness, talks, and all that kind of stuff. In addition to that, I host a podcast, The Donta Show. I'm the author of 2 books, The End of the Rainbow and Yesterday Clarified. I do a lot of mentorship work. I work with the churches to get them educated about HIV and sexual health and try to change the way they, deal with the epidemic and just deal with, people either living with HIV, at risk for contracting HIV and all that, and a myriad of other things that I do. I'm just living my life.
So what don't you do, Mr. Morrison?
Right. Okay, listen, I don't ice skate. Right. And I don't ski. I don't do that. But everything else I pretty much got on lock.
So can you tell me a little bit more about why you started the Donta Show and like what is the main focus of it?
I started the Donta Show because I used to so my Facebook page used to be very, 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 very lively. I would ask these questions every other day that just got people talking. But I would ask questions that I felt people wanted to really ask but was kind of scared just out of judgment or not wanting to be that person ruffling feathers. But I'm like, this is stuff we need to be talking about. Let's talk about the real issues, the real concerns, all this stuff that we keep sweeping under the rug. And as a result of that, one of my good friends, his name was Burt Baker, he challenged me. He said, man, you need to start a radio show. I'm like, and talk about what? He was like, talk about every single thing that you talk about on Facebook. And literally the next week, I started the Donta Show on Blog Talk. And I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and start this and see what happens. And the momentum really picked up. I was getting some dynamic, guests to come on to just talk about different issues. I've talked about everything from the church to religion, spirituality, to sex, the male peace spot, LGBT issues, Black Lives Matter. If it's a major issue or if it's something of controversy, I would just talk about it.
You just controversial.
Listen. And I just really found out that, people really love talking about it. Mm-hmm. They love talking about it. They love just really being able to listen to others have conversations that will give them more in-depth understanding about the things that confuse them, especially when it comes to relationships and dating and love and all that. People think they got it all figured out, but to really sit back and hear someone just break stuff down really helps out a lot of folks because, unfortunately, I'm African American, and, the Black community, we don't really go to therapy. We don't go to a psychiatrist and sit on the couch and do all that kind of stuff. We go to church.
Right.
And sometimes church may not be that healing place you need it to be. You know, sometimes church can be just right. It can be one of the most dramatic soap opera filled places you ever walked into. You know, and I think the problem is that people, you know, they get God and the church tied in together. And it's like, well, the church can be confusing, but God is always God. But if you are relying on the church to help you, sometimes the church doesn't. So then and sometimes we don't go and seek licensed professionals to really just dig into our psyche and pull out some of that stuff that has taken root, you know, and that's just the way we've been raised. You know, what happens in our house stays in our house. Don't you go tell our neighbors our business, you know, that kind of mindset. So we end up harboring a lot of stuff, and we just become kind of low-key toxic, for lack of a better word, and we just don't become as good of a person as we should be. So yeah, I love my show. I think what I talk about is really good, you know, and it's educational, it's informative, especially when it comes down to stuff about the LGBT community. You know, I think that especially with all the stuff that's going on recently with the trans community, who they're taking a big hit for some stuff, and I just think it's important that we talk about it.
Well, and first of all, I want to commend you on the work that you do, because I have listened to a lot of your episodes and I am a fan. And so, and I what really frustrates me about, you know, the world and specifically with our community is that, you know, they complain, they're so quick to judge and complain about things, but they're slow to kind of do something about it. And I think that, you know, regardless of whether it's your Facebook, whether it's your, you know, at some point in time, you have to get off of social media and do something. And so I commend you on building a platform like the Donta Show, and also what you do in your advocacy, you know, and just really kind of being a leader in this community, because we need more. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. We need more like that, because I think that there's so much talk and not enough walk. And then I think that also there's complaints about, you know, well, why can't, you know, you do this, or, you know, you're so busy doing, well, why can't you do it? Why can't, instead of you telling other people what you should and should not do, why don't you get up and create a platform? Why don't we all have platforms and do something? The more of us that we're talking, the better. You know what I mean? Right. So kudos to you on doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to know, like, how do you, something that Ms. Free and I have talked about before is, how do you kind of check out? And actually, it's funny because I just saw a video with one of my co-hosts on After the Blaze podcast, Hope Giselle, and she had just posted a video about, like, this is her birthday week and she wants to just have a break, you know, with everything that's going on with, you know, the trans community and everything that's going on with this government and attacking the trans community and the LGBTQ. It's frustrating, and sometimes we do need a break. So I guess, do you have a self-care plan? Do you recommend a self-care plan? And if so, how do you disconnect?
Wow. Right. That's a great question. And it's funny because I didn't really realize how much I needed to disconnect until about I would say 3 or 4 weeks ago. I challenged some of the youth that I mentor to let's unplug from social media for a week. You know, no Facebook, no Instagram, no Snapchat, no nothing. Just unplug and just let it go for a week. And it was funny, within that week, I had like some of the best peace ever. And as a result, even to this day, I'm not on social media as much. I don't know what happened, but I kind of just unplugged, and I go on social media now just for relevance. I don't go on there just to scroll and look and all that. I go to post stuff that really matters, and then I'll step on back out, because I didn't know how immersed in these platforms I was, to the point where I wasn't even taking time to just breathe. And I'm just starting to realize that it's really important to just kind of sit still and be quiet for a moment. And because I do so much, like I'm involved in, you know, I sing on the praise team at church, you know, I work, you know, feel like 40 hours a day. You know, and then my phone is constantly ringing, but it's not ringing with people saying, hey, let's go hang out. It's ringing with people saying, hey, I need you to do this. You know, and that can become draining after a while.
Right.
But what I have learned to do, I really just steal away, and I'll get in my car and I'll just drive, you know, completely by myself. I'll put on some jazz or some neo soul artist that really gets my vibe, and I'll just drive, no particular place. I'm just on the go, sunroof open, and just rolling.
Yes.
And that is how I really decompress. And it may seem very simple for some, but for me, just that quiet time, because I live within close proximity of my job, so I don't really have that time to just drive and commute and, talk to God and just do all that kind of stuff, because I'm literally at work within 7 minutes of leaving home.
Right.
So I wake up and like less than 15 minutes later, I'm working. So I have
drive
just
around
found,
a couple of blocks.
Exactly. And I also really just started getting more into the gym. I run at the gym. I try to go every day and just really try to clear my mind. So I'm working on that. I'm still a work in progress, but I'm someone that firmly believes in self-care. Being someone that's living with HIV, I know it's important to really be on top of all that and be on top of everything. So I'm a firm believer in it, and I try to push others who are living with the virus or not to really just make sure they're taking time to mentally decompress. Because you can sit here, you can be a vegan, not drink alcohol, not smoke weed and all that, but your mind is so messed up that you're still dying a slow death.
Right.
So it's really about having mind, body, and spirit all synced into one, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Amen. You better go on with yourself.
Listen.
if you, I guess one question I have is what would be, for those who are looking to, advocate more and want to get involved more, what would be something, I guess, the do's and don'ts of doing that for, I guess more for the younger crowd, because I know that there are people think that they can just get on their Facebook and Twitter and just, yell all this stuff out. And that's fine if your audience is big. However,
right.
What else are you going to do outside of the keyboard? So I guess what would be your recommendations for that?
Well, my thing is, I tell people, because everybody always, when I do my talks and do workshops and whatever, everyone wants to, oh my God, what can I do? How can I help? And all that kind of stuff. So it's like, my thing is, don't get involved in this kind of work unless you're in it for the long haul. Mm-hmm. Because this is really about sustainability and continuity.
Right.
Telling somebody one time to use a condom is great. And that one time it may work, but there are some people that need repetitive reminders of just about the importance of safe sex, the importance of asking questions, the importance of getting tested. They need those continual reminders. And you cannot be frustrated or get to the point where you just want to throw in the towel because people aren't listening. And I had to learn that. I mean, I've been doing this work for almost 20 years, and what I have learned over time is that, some people get it from me. Some folks may get it from somebody else down the line, but they started with me. I may plant the seed, somebody else may water it, somebody else may, all this other kind of stuff. But you can't get discouraged. And people jump into this field and jump into this kind of work, and they have this gung-ho, I'm going to change the world attitude. Yeah, no, you're not. You're going to change the people that you're able to change, that you have been ordained to change by God. That's who you're going to change. Some people may not change. Some folks may not get it, and you have to be okay with that. And I've learned to be okay with that. It took a lot of tears. It took me seeing a lot of my young people just not adhere, and some become positive, some fall off the wagon, some get addicted to drugs. It took me seeing that to realize, okay, everyone's not going to get it, but I still have to applaud those who did, applaud those who applied what I've told them and kept going on with it. And that's what keeps me grounded and allows me to stay in this fight for as long as I have.
Can I ask you a question? Because I've often found, you said something in terms of consistency, and I think that is something that's really hard for people to do, because, like you said, the discouragement and the the feeling of like, is this actually, people actually listening to what I'm saying? Are people going to get what I'm saying? And I think that for me personally, I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, it's not about me. It's not about what I'm feeling. It's not about whether or not people are listening to me. Did I do enough to get them to feel something? And that's ultimately what I guess the goal is. So I guess my question to you is, what do you tell people who get to that point where they're getting ready to feel discouraged, and they're getting ready to to feel like all hope is lost, for lack of a better expression, and but they're still kind of doing it consistently? Do you recommend them switching up the grind a little bit to kind of break up the monotony? Do you recommend what would you tell them?
Yeah, sometimes people can I know me in the beginning. I used to have all these success stories because I had one way of approaching, the topic of sexual health, safer sex, all that kind of stuff. And what happens is it's like an artist that will make a solid album. Like, we'll drop an album and then they use the same formula for the next album, and then is discouraged when it goes wood and not platinum. You got to change the game, and you got to stay relevant to times. I can't use the same approach right now that I used back in 1999 because times have changed. Yep. Back in 1999, there was no social media. There was, there was no way people just to post videos of any and everything all over the place. That just did not exist, and the way we dated, the way we met, the way we did all that just did not exist. So in 2017, I have to use an approach that's relevant to 2017, but some people don't take the time to adjust their strategy to meet the needs of the people right now. They're still trying to use the same antiquated, tactics, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. If I come into a room and I just start throwing condoms and the kids are looking at me and they start laughing, I'm like, why you laughing? We on PrEP. We don't need condoms. We ain't gonna get HIV. So I have to make sure that I change the game where it's not just about, HIV now. It's about all the other STDs. Yes, right. You're on PrEP. You're taking this one pill a day that can decrease your chance of contracting HIV, but you can still get syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea, all the other, diseases that are a result of not using a condom. Mm-hmm. So if a person does not step back and regroup and look at their style of doing this work, or any work for that matter, then they're going to fall into a rut and they're going to feel ineffective because they're going to say, well, I'm not reaching the people. You're not reaching the people because you're still doing the same thing from 20 years ago. Well, you got to up your game. You got to up your game. Beyonce cannot put out the Crazy in Love album now. She's topped that. Amen. She can't do that again. If she does that again, folks going to say, wow, she's real basic now. What happened? Because she's raised the bar so high, all she can do is raise it higher. And it can be a challenge to yourself. And you got to say, okay, now how can I outdo me? I am my own competitor now. I'm not competing with anybody else. How do I outdo me?
First of all, points to you for mentioning Beyonce, the queen.
Listen, you hear me? Right.
We love her here. So
right. Come on now, buzz. Let's all just buzz real quick.
And Madam Queen, if you hear us anytime, you're more than welcome on the show. So
exactly. You just have Blue call in. I'm fine with that.
Listen. Don't get me started on the princess.
Right, have her call in. She can just say hi. My mommy's not available. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Flo.
Exactly. Where your daddy at?
Right. I guess my one of my last questions that I have for you, I guess I know you have to go. And if you have time, I actually wanted to do a quick little surprise for you, but I'm gonna wait till we get to that. One of my questions to you is how, I guess for me, one of the things that frustrates, because we have a segment on our show called the Listen Letter section, and so we get letters from our audience and stuff like that, and they send them random ass mess. And so a lot of the stuff that we get is more relationship wise, and so it's frustrating because it's I can only speak from my point of view, and Miss Free can only speak from her point of view. So we're not experts or in any type of way, and we don't claim to be. But I guess my question is that when you get to a point where you're constantly getting these same questions and you're like, how many times do I have to tell you the same dang on thing? Right. In four different ways. I can't tell you the sky's blue other than the sky's blue. Exactly. So do you have those type of issues on your show where you're getting either questions or topics or whatever that you're constantly saying the same thing over and over again, and it's do you guys understand what the hell I'm saying? I just said this.
I do. And I learned something years ago from one of my friends that worked at Disneyland. And they said that Disneyland, they train their greeters because people always wonder, why are they always smiling? How do they do this job and they're always smiling? And they were trained and told, okay, so if somebody comes and asks you what time it is, and we all know how busy Disneyland is, if they ask you what time it is and you smile and you say it's 2:00, That person asked you the time one time. Every single person that asks you what time it is, that's their first time asking you. So they should get the same kind of greeting every single time, because you may be getting the same question, but you're getting it from different people. So what I have tried to incorporate is not the amount of times I'm getting asked the question, but the fact that I'm getting the question asked from numerous people. So I don't get frustrated, because it's not the same person asking me the same thing over and over and over. It's different people who may not have heard the show, who may not have heard me say it before. It's a new person. So I have to give them the same kind of love and respect and all that. Like, okay, you don't know, you missed that part. Let's catch you on up.
Right.
You know, I used to get that a lot when I would do the talks about HIV. And I would get frustrated in the beginning, because I'm like, okay, this is my 4th location, you know, this month, and people still know what HIV stands for.
Right.
But I'm like, this is my first time at this location. You know, it's not like I'm going back to the same place 4 different times and y'all still don't get it. I'm at a new place all the time, so I have to present the same way, like it is their first time hearing it. Like they're brand new babies, they have no idea. Now, when I go back to repeat locations and they're still playing ignorant and I forgot, then I get frustrated, because I'm like, okay, now you're wasting my time because you're not applying this stuff. But I treat everybody like it's your first time asking. It's your first time asking. So I don't get frustrated by that. I just thank God they're asking.
Amen. Amen to that. So I do want to kind of, because I know we're running short on time, so I do want to kind of do this little special thing that we do with some of our guests, and it's called a fire round, and basically it's kind of like a speed round, and where you have to answer the very first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, so
okay. All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hold on, let me pull this up here. All right. So the first one is Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce.
Yes.
Like, hello.
Burger King, McDonald's? Burger
King.
Oh. Sorry. No judging here, I guess.
But if you just said fries, then it's McDonald's fries. But overall, I like Burger King.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Okay. Puerto Rican or Mexican?
Puerto Rican.
Okay. Google or what is this? Google or Yahoo?
Google.
Okay. Hold on, I lost this here.
Yeah, no shade to Yahoo, but come on.
I mean,
it's like dial-up. Yeah.
Our audience don't know about dial-up, girl.
Right, it's like dial-up. Really? Watch a little man run across the screen. Come on, faster.
Blazers, I just want to make sure that you guys know that I'm still 23 and I'm going to stay 23 for the rest of my life. I don't know nothing about what he's talking about.
Exactly. Keep it. Stay true to that. Nobody knows.
Right. Hip-hop, R&B?
Ooh. That's hard. R&B.
Okay.
Because hip hop has changed. I mean, the hip hop game has changed. So if you just said, early hip hop, true hip hop, underground hip hop,
then it's different.
But hip hop today, R&B.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, because I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Donta, thank you so much for being on the show. I very much appreciate your time, your energy,
Definitely.
And the things that you do. And also, before we go, if you want to kind of let people know where you are, how people can find you, also how they can find the Donta Show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Appreciate that. Well, if you're on social media, you can just go to Facebook and type in Donta Morrison, Donta, last name Morrison. I'm the first one that comes up, I pray. But follow me on Facebook. I usually accept all friend requests unless you're like a stalker or creepy or send me something inappropriate via my inbox. I don't play that. You can go to Instagram and find me, Donta_Morrison. So that's Donta, and that's, underline Morrison. On Instagram, I'm on Twitter. It's Donta Morrison. I don't really use it a lot because I'm not really Twitter savvy yet. I'm 45 years old. I'm trying to be hip, but I'm just not that dude. And then the Donta Show is every Monday night. Thank you.
Black don't crack.
The Donta Show is every Monday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. So you can go to www.blogtalkradio.com /Donta Morrison, and you will see the Donta Show. So, my next show is coming up on Monday, 9:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
So, thank you. I appreciate this time. It's hard. It's hard out here. Struggle is real.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So thank you for this opportunity just to come on, just talk about, what I do, let folks know more about what I do. I really do appreciate it.
No, the honor is all mine. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy man. And for those, who don't, like I said before, for those who don't know this man, he does amazing work in his community and in our community in the LA County area. So please definitely check out his show, support him, support Black businesses. But definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
we keep saying everything it takes a village, but then we don't support the village.
Well, so that's a whole different conversation, brother.
Right. Definitely.
Yes, definitely check him out. And definitely, if you guys have any questions about this particular episode, you can go on to www.entertheblaze.com or our mother company, pyromedianetwork.com. Unfortunately, Miss Free is not here, so I can't say Miss Free, we're out. But you know what, Donta? We're out.
We're out. Thank you. And I'm heading to my yoga class.
Bye, Blazers. Take it easy.